Gildan Media presents Your Coach in a Box, affordable, life-changing audio programs. Gildan Media presents an unabridged recording of The Money Tree, The Roots and Fruits of Poverty and Prosperity by Garrett B. Gunderson. Narrated by Pratt. Introduction. The Greater Purpose. Imagine that you were faced with the most critical decision of your life. If you had access to a crystal ball and could see the natural results of that decision, how would that affect your decision? Would it be much easier to choose correctly? The purpose of this book is to show how abundance is achieved through awareness. Many people don't even realize when they are in scarcity and therefore remain stuck. This book will outline how to recognize scarcity and then choose abundance while detailing the natural results of our choices. The more people are aware of the results of their choices, the better, more informed decisions they can make. My hope is that by showing you what happens to individuals and societies who choose either scarcity or abundance, you can make a conscious choice long before you ever experience those results for yourself. In other words, this book is the crystal ball of your personal prosperity. In contrast to most books which you will read or hear on the subject of personal finance, I should inform you up front that this is not a feel-good book that will get you excited about getting rich without giving you real substance. Nor is it a product and strategy-centered book that will give you hot stock tips or debt reduction strategies without providing proper background. The purpose of this book is to provide an in-depth framework that helps people to see the entire process of wealth creation from start to finish. It is to explain the direct relationship between both philosophy and strategy, between paradigms and results. In other words, this book plainly and unflinchingly provides the context that all other money books fit into. In other words, you can make sense of or judge the value of any other financial book using this book as the standard. With an increased awareness, you can discern truth from falsehood in your personal financial life. While most financial books are about either philosophy or application, this is a book about the context in which both philosophies and strategies exist. Greater context leads to deeper understanding, which in turn leads to better results. Although my main focus is on context, I also want to ensure that my listeners are left with a clear direction of where they can go after listening to this book. There's absolutely no way that I could ever explain everything I know about money and prosperity in such a short book, which is why I have developed many other tools and educational resources to help you live your ideal life. The best way for most people to begin applying what they learn here is through the Producer Power Hour Mastermind, which you can find online at producerpowerhour.com, which is outlined in detail in Chapter 7. Throughout this book, I will show you how the source or root of prosperity is actually you, not a breakthrough product or a cutting-edge technique. It will train you to trace your results back to their origins so that you can fundamentally transform the way you view wealth and your role in its creation. This book focuses on the philosophies, paradigms, and principles underlying all human action in order to help you see through traditional hype and marketing of the financial industry. Choose the correct strategies which best align with your unique gifts and get the results that reflect your true nature as a being of immense value creation. If you're listening to this audiobook because you're looking for a quick fix or a way to get rich quick, stop listening now. You simply will not find that here. On the other hand, this book is perfect for you if any of the following is true. You're looking for deeper answers and more valuable solutions to your money issues than you found in most media sources. You're willing to question the status quo. You're seeking to learn and understand the fundamental principles governing financial strategies and results. You're looking for appropriate methodologies and strategies that actually work and give you powerful results. You feel a sense of mission in your life and you must prosper in order to fulfill your personal mission. You want to learn how to prosper consistently and sustainably, regardless of external circumstance, including and especially financial markets. And finally, you want to learn how money can flow through you, where you are the figurative money tree. This is not a book about the stock market. It's a book about contribution, about human greatness, and about true prosperity beyond money. It's a book for people who see greater purpose in being wealthy than personal comfort, status, and prestige. Furthermore, this book will help you to get rid of scarcity in your life through increased awareness and ways to overcome the destructive mode of scarcity and ultimately to cultivate a paradigm of abundance. Most financial teachings today originate from a paradigm of scarcity. With such a root, it's no wonder that the fruits of such teachings are limited at best and destructive at worst. No matter how good the intention, the advice and action based primarily on the scarcity paradigm can never lead to the results that we all want financially. Keep listening as I uncover the truth about retirement planning, outline the proper philosophies and principles that true wealth is based on, and help you to practically apply those fundamentals utilizing appropriate products and strategies. Also, take a moment to familiarize yourself with the following model of prosperity, which I call the money tree, before you continue listening, as this will be referred to throughout the book. In order to secure and implement your greatest results, I have created a mastermind group that is designed to help you accomplish your objectives. Regardless of your background or current situation, this is designed to make a lasting and profound change in your life. For lasting and profound transformation in your life, there are 4 essentials. 1. Education, access to new information and tools. 2. Mentoring, a sounding board, tailored guidance, and leadership. 3. Association, with like-minded individuals. And 4. Accountability, support and structure to facilitate results. I am covering number 1 in this book. To access numbers 2, 3, and 4, there is an opportunity to join the Producer Power Hour Mastermind. These 4 components of success are essential in having sustainable results. I have such a passion for implementation and lasting results that I want you to try the Mastermind for free. My life's mission is to have 1 million people reach financial independence, and I would love for you to be one of them. Go to producerpowerhour.com to take the next step in your journey to sustainable wealth and living abundantly. Chapter 1. From Planting to Harvesting. A parable of gardeners and trees outlined. Each element of the parable represents ingredients that determine either poverty or prosperity results. It was planted in a good soil by great waters, that it might bring forth branches, and that it might bear fruit, that it might be a goodly vine, being planted. Shall it prosper? Ezekiel chapter 17, verses 8 and 10. We begin with a parable. 2 gardeners planted fruit trees in their gardens. The first gardener took care to select the best seeds. Furthermore, he carefully prepared the soil, picking the ideal location that would receive adequate water and sunlight, tilling it well, and providing fertilizer. From those seeds sprung forth healthy, strong, and deep roots that gave the trees life and good health. The tree trunks grew straight and strong and gave them the ability to withstand the strongest of winds. Healthy branches grew from the trees, profuse and strong enough to hold plentiful fruit. After a time, the trees produced the best, biggest, and most delicious fruit that the farmer had ever seen and tasted. It was the best harvest he had, and many came from miles around to buy his fruit and enjoy his harvest. The second gardener, on the other hand, was careless about his selection of both his seeds and his soil. The soil he planted in was rocky and hard, had few nutrients, and was a poor location for water and sunlight. Most of his seeds never germinated and took root. The few that did had shallow, unhealthy roots. From those roots grew narrow, twisted, and flimsy trunks that were non-resistant to the elements. The branches were few and weak, and the trees produced wormy, small, and bitter fruit that nobody wanted. How does this parable apply to your prosperity? Each of the images portrayed represent ingredients in the process of either a life of poverty or a life of prosperity. The symbol of the gardener is you, or what I will call your human life value. Human life value is everything you are when all of your material resources are stripped away. It is your knowledge, your character, and your integrity, your ability to think creatively and uniquely, your relationships, your faith, your virtue, or the lack of each of these things. It is your knowledge and ability to shape materials and information in new ways that are valued and utilized by others and yourself. What do you bring to the world? What is your unique combination of talents, abilities, education, and perspective? This is your human life value. You become productive and access your potential by utilizing your human life value in the service of others. Insight. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but there was a time in my childhood when I would ask my dad for things and he would tell me, "We need to wait for the money tree to bloom." I believed him, literally, and I remember sitting outside watching one tree in particular in our front yard, waiting for it to bloom. I would even check up on it periodically, thinking that as soon as it bloomed we would have money. It's a funny story, but it also carries a lot of meaning. I was so ready to see money that I didn't even care what he said, and it led to unquestioned beliefs. I sat there waiting without taking proactive action. So many people plant their seeds of prosperity in the wrong soil. They fail to cultivate and water them, then are disappointed when no money appears. They operate under faulty perceptions, which results in a failure to cultivate the right habits. They're waiting for something to happen or someone to help them, rather than taking immediate and practical action to improve their lives. Your money tree can bloom, but only if it's planted correctly and cultivated carefully. Now back to our story. The seeds, soil, water, and sunlight represent your paradigm, or the way that you view the world that determines how you interact with the world and other people. Specifically, there are two determinate paradigms that people had to choose from: scarcity and abundance. From the seeds of scarcity come roots of fear, doubt, and worry. From the seeds of abundance come roots of faith, hope, and love. The tree trunks represent principles, the timeless, unchanging, universal natural laws of the universe that, when applied appropriately, provide stability, strength, and direction in a person's life. The tree branches represent strategies, techniques, tools, and resources. The strategies I use and how I use them are determined by our human life value, our paradigm, and our understanding and application of principles. And finally, the fruits of the trees represent the results I experience from the combination of my human life value, my paradigm, principles, and strategies. Consider the following chart for a moment. You can refer to chart number 1, which you can find in the PDF guidebook that was included with this program. I've learned that the starting place to grow your money trees is with your soil and your seeds. Seeds are the principles that you're aligned with, and the soil is who you currently are. Note quadrant 3. If you attempt to plant a seed of abundance in scarce soil, the result will be no growth and death of the seed. Why? Because when you're in scarcity, you will reject seeds of abundance. They cannot take root because you are not the kind of soil conducive to prosperous growth. Similarly, if you have abundant soil, or in other words, if you are full of hope, faith, love, and abundance, but you then plant a seed of scarcity, whether through friends, family, the media, or society, your soil will reject that seed, and it cannot grow, as you can see in quadrant 2. In Quadrant 4, we find both scarce soil and scarce seeds, resulting, of course, in scarcity and poverty in every area of one's life. On the other hand, in Quadrant 1, we find ourselves in a position where our soil is abundant, and the seeds, or principles, planted within that soil are abundant. And we will experience favorable conditions for productive growth, and the seed will grow. Remember, you have the power to control and change your soil, and to nurture and cultivate it. In the end, I have the power and the control to change my soil, to nurture it, and to cultivate it. This parable describes a model that I have created called the money tree. The money tree looks like the illustration number 2 on the following page. Chapter 2. The Necessary Elements. Both theory and application are necessary for financial success. Prosperity is a predictable formula. It is human life value plus sound philosophy plus correct principles plus wise application equals results. Sole purpose elevates our motivation to prosper and to realize our full potential. Two paradigms, scarcity and abundance, determine the quality and longevity of financial results. In order for a tree to grow and flourish, it begins with the proper soil. The next elements are a seed, then roots, a trunk, branches, and leaves, all of which determine the fruit. Prosperity also requires that every necessary element in the process be present. Have you ever read a book about personal finance that got you excited about the idea? Or the philosophy of prosperity, and then left you hanging, wondering, okay, now what do I do? Or have you read other books that try to convince you to buy into specific products and strategies without explaining the principles behind them, leaving you skeptical and unfulfilled? It seems that too often people are either left without clear direction on how to practically apply theory, or pressured into buying products without understanding their relevance or context in our life. But what if you could have the best of both worlds? What would happen in your financial life if you understood the correct philosophies, paradigms, and principles governing prosperity, and you had the knowledge and ability to practically apply them, using products and strategies? Prosperity is a predictable formula. Proper philosophies, plus paradigms, plus correct principles, and products and strategies equal results. A person who understands sound financial philosophies and principles, but who does not practically apply them, is impotent and ineffectual. On the other hand, a person who bases their entire financial plan on products and techniques without understanding the underlying philosophies and principles is ungrounded, limited, and, in many cases, actually destructive. In other words, it's essential that both theory and application be present for a person to achieve true financial success. Also, it's critically important to realize that who you are as an individual is far more important than any other ingredient in the recipe of prosperity. The utilization of your human life value is the single biggest determinant of your financial success or lack thereof. It is through your human life value that you are even able to comprehend philosophy and everything that follows. Anytime anyone asks me what I think they should invest in, my answer is always the same. Invest in yourself until you know, and even when you know, never stop investing in yourself. Once a person's human life value gets to a certain point through discipline, education, and practice, they have no need to ask such a question. Human life value is always, without exception, the best and most important place to start the pursuit of prosperity. Throughout this book, I'm going to be comparing prosperity to growing a tree. Human life value is the gardener that plants the tree. Philosophy and paradigms are the seeds, soil, and water. Either fear, doubt, and worry, or faith, hope, and love are the roots. Principles are the trunk, and financial products and strategies are the branches and leaves. The fruits of our prosperity tree are the natural results of everything that comes before them. Most of the financial advice you read and hear comes from one of two camps: those who talk about nothing but the root and trunk of prosperity, or those who talk about nothing but the branches and leaves. These views are not so much wrong as they are incomplete. My purpose is to bridge the gap between these two camps and provide a more holistic view of finances that is simultaneously idealistic and practical. Having said this, however, it must be stressed that although these two views are equally important, there is a definite order in which they must be applied. Here is a model of prosperity that we have built so far. You can see it in chart number 3. This model will be developed throughout the book, but this basic structure is the most important thing to grasp for now. Looking at chart number 4, soul purpose, the why of prosperity, this model is useful to a person who is committed to creating financial prosperity. Why should a person want to prosper? What is the appropriate motivation to achieve wealth? You have a mission to perform that no other individual can perform. When you do what you are born to do, you relieve a degree of pain or suffering in the world and invite more happiness in your own life. Ultimately, that's what prosperity economics is all about: finding and meeting human desires through service, solving problems and creating value. The more willing and able you are to serve others, the more value is returned to you, and the more you will prosper. The mission I speak of is what I call soul purpose. Soul purpose is comprised of your unique combination of ability, passion, and values. Your soul purpose gives you unique perspectives, insight, and talents. When these are combined with purpose and applied productively and effectively, any individual can make an impact upon the world, their own family, and bring the highest levels of joy and fulfillment for themselves. For an individual to fully realize soul purpose, prosperity is key. Prosperity means that they have access to every resource, material and otherwise, required to deliver value. Before ever investing in a product, it is critical to start out with the correct fundamental philosophies and principles. Then, investing only in financial products they truly understand. Scarcity versus abundance. The money tree is easy enough to grasp. However, even if a person were to follow the formula of human life value plus philosophy plus principles plus application equals results, what would happen throughout the process if the person's worldview and philosophies were incorrect and tainted? How would that influence the rest of his or her decisions? In other words, it's not enough to use philosophy. You must be operating under the correct philosophy. The depth of the money tree model is unveiled when we understand that there are two basic philosophies, or determinate paradigms, that human beings have to choose from: scarcity and abundance. The following chapters will detail each of these 5 steps of our money tree model of prosperity. Furthermore, they will detail the differences between a philosophy based on scarcity and a philosophy based on abundance, and the natural results that flow from each of these paradigms. Chapter 3. Two Determinate Paradigms. Philosophy. Human beings choose from 2 different paradigms, scarcity and abundance, which determine how they view and interact with the world. Scarcity leads to all destructive human tendencies. Abundance induces all productive traits. Abundance is a choice. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Robert Frost. Stephen R. Covey defined paradigms well when he wrote in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, "The word paradigm comes from the Greek. It was originally a scientific term and is more commonly used today to mean a model, theory, perception, assumption, or frame of reference. In the more general sense, it's the way we see the world, not in terms of our visual sense of sight, but in terms of perceiving, understanding, and interpreting. Paradigms determine your actions, which determine your habits, which determine your results. The more healthy and aligned with truth your paradigm is, the better results you will experience. When it comes to prosperity, there are two basic paradigms that you have to choose from: scarcity and abundance. These are what I call determinant paradigms, meaning that whichever one you are subject to determines how you view the world, how you treat others, how you react in any given situation, and what results you receive. Contrast. It's a natural tendency among humans to view scarcity as bad and abundance as good. However, this is a simplistic view that ignores a fundamental truth about the nature of the universe, that being contrast. Contrast is actually one of the greatest gifts ever given to us by God. Why? Because it's precisely through contrast that we have the power to choose. There is no choice except in the presence of opposites to choose from. Without contrast, how could we appreciate happiness and joy if we have never experienced sadness and misery? In the absence of pain, there is less perspective for pleasure. It's through opposition, contrast, and perspective that we find joy in achieving. If everything were easy, we would never feel fulfilled. It's through the contrast provided by opposition that we are able to learn and ultimately find context and meaning in existence. Duality and contrast exists to give us the ability to choose from opposing thoughts and experiences. Your job is to identify and reject those things that bring ultimate suffering and find and choose those things that bring ultimate happiness. Content and pain are gifts from a loving God that show you which of your actions are functional and right in the universe. They help you make course corrections by teaching you when you've made mistakes. They are like lighthouses guiding your way through the treacherous seas of choice. Once again, it is through an awareness of scarcity that you are able to learn and can further understand and experience abundance. Scarcity and abundance, then, are presented to you as choices. Choosing scarcity leads to misery. Choosing abundance leads to happiness. Scarcity and abundance. A scarcity paradigm is defined as the belief that resources are limited and the world is a stage for a zero-sum game of accumulation. In a zero-sum game, anything that another wins is no longer available to all others playing the game. Further, these winnings are not replaced or transformed into anything of equivalent or greater value that remains in the game, and is therefore no longer available to other players. In the world of scarcity, ownership by another means the loss of opportunity for self. Scarcity-minded individuals seek to take from, exploit, and manipulate others to get what they want. From intellectuals like Thomas Malthus, to capitalists who seek to destroy their competition, to individuals who desperately race to grab products off shelves before others get them, many people think and act as if there is a limited amount of material resources to share in the world, and limited ability to manipulate those resources for productive use. Scarcity is characterized by the following conditions and perspectives: reasonable and irrational fear, doubt and worry, blind tradition, and skepticism and myths. An abundance paradigm is the belief that possibilities are unlimited and that the world offers everyone the ability to pursue and achieve their dreams. Abundance is characterized by happiness, joy, and love. Abundance-minded individuals do not feel the personal loss of resources when others have them. They seek to lift, serve, and bless the lives of others through their contribution. Abundance is characterized by the following conditions and perspectives: unreasonable and rational faith, confidence and peace, self-assurance and humility, health, critical thinking, and reality. Reasonable and irrational versus unreasonable and rational. Scarcity appears to be reasonable because it's what's normal and customary in the world. Many things in life seem to support the fallacy of scarcity. For example, when people invest in real estate and end up losing money, most of them view this as a negative experience and learn that there is no money to be made in real estate. That experience is then ingrained into their psyche, and then influences every other decision they make. They begin to think that all investing is risky, And the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?